So yeah, we have to get on that TBS time here, man. We click go when we click go, bro. That's all it is, man. First and foremost, welcome back to the Bird Cave here on a Thursday night. Actually, a little different spin. When we talk Steelers, we talk NFL and everything, but we're going to talk a lot of college tonight because the college football playoffs start. Man, I'm excited. I got my man Shank back there. Jeff, how are you, sir? How are you this evening?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it. It's going to be fun. Love college ball.
Absolutely. We got to bring him back on. Absolutely. And back as always after his one episode hiatus, the birthday boy, 22-year-old GB.
22.
How are you, sir?
That's right. Clean.
That's right.
I'm doing well. I am. I'm, just turned 28, and I feel great. The end.
28 and I feel great. Yes.
28.
You look, man. Let me tell you something. You look 28 with that clean shaven, bro.
Hey, and we're gonna stick with that. 28 years old today. 28.
28 shots.
Already.
Ooh.
Oh, no. Ooh.
No, my stomach is not, especially on a Thursday, and especially coming on a Thursday and coming off a Monday night football game too, because I was at that game. Oh man, nah.
Yeah, Gabe actually, he braved the weather on Monday.
Yes, we did. That was a good time. I had a buddy from Miami, come up.
He had to be miserable
from South Beach.
He had to be cold.
He was good all the way up till the fourth quarter. Yeah, and then the libations started to wear down a little bit, and that cold started to hit, and they were losing.
Yeah,
that's always a big component. Like I wasn't cold.
That's right.
I felt fine, and I probably drank the least.
Like, I'm good. You good? I'm good.
Yeah, I felt fine. So, but he got cold. He did, man. But it was a great time, man. That was the first time I've ever been in weather that cold we've been to some cold games, but that was a whole different level of cold, dude. Like the one game we went to, the San Diego Chargers game, the Palomalu one-handed,
the 11-10 game,
yeah. We were at that one. That was pretty cold, but this one took the cake, man. That was serious. It was.
Yeah, you know what the thing was? I had my Florida blood in me that time too, because that's when I was coming back up, and I was real cold. I was like 3.5 years into Florida, living down there, man. I was my blood had thinned out really, really quickly. So
yeah,
really quickly. All right. So before we get into the college football playoffs, and the reason I asked Shank to come back on, if you guys remember, a little while back, I had him and our buddy Dixon on to talk about Penn State and them firing, James Franklin after a dozen years or so, and all the success he's had there in the regular season and in some bowl games. I said I wanted to get these guys back on when Penn State made a hire. And obviously they made a splash of some sort. And we're going to get into that a little bit more. We'll probably be joined with by our buddy Lars, who's might be in transit from a trivia show. He'll hop on. I'm not going to count on it, but our buddy JJ might be coming in too. But he's battling those company holiday parties, and I told him, do not rush it, man. Just have fun, do what you need to do. But I want to talk some college ball. So, Jeff, your initial reaction when Penn State hired Matt Campbell from Iowa State, and a little 30-second, Jeff, I know you know this, but for those who do not know, as people are gathering in here, Matt Campbell coaching 15 years in college with Toledo and Iowa State. Yeah. He was 35-15 at Toledo. He was 72-55 at Iowa State. Mm-hmm. He had a lot of winning seasons, but a lot of it hovering around 8-4, 7-6 type years. They had a couple breakthrough years, right? He had a 9-2 year with Toledo in 2015. Mm-hmm. In 2020, he was 9-3 with Iowa State, which then he won a Fiesta Bowl over Oregon. And then in 2024, he was 11-3 with Iowa State and won the Pop-Tarts Bowl over Miami, 42-41, and he's 5-5 overall in bowls. And at one point, he did have Iowa State number 7 in the country in 2016. So he's had some success. Yeah. At Iowa State, which is not known as a football power, or a big program like Penn State is. So your initial reaction, and I have some follow-up questions with you, and I'm sure GB as well as too. But yeah, what do you think about Matt Campbell, bro?
I think, I'm cautiously optimistic, I'll say. And considering the circumstances of the search, which was about 54 days, it was the best possible outcome considering the circumstances, is what I'll say. He's a proven college coach. I wasn't really a fan of bringing anyone else from the NFL, like a Brian Dable or anyone like that. Someone that understands how to operate in today's NIL it had to be a requirement. So my thoughts are he's a stabilizer, but I don't know that he's going to do anything different than Franklin. Like, I don't know that he's never proven that he can go 12-0 and beat Ohio State, right? He's been in the Big 12.
Yeah.
The Big 12 doesn't necessarily translate into the Big 10 or the SEC. So they're going to have to change some philosophies that he used at Iowa State, like running a 3-3-5 defense, which just won't work in the Big 10. It probably wouldn't. I shouldn't say it won't, but it generally doesn't. So there's some factors there. But I think considering the fact that they fell through with BYU's coach, they struck out on some, I think, bigger targets. It's a solid hire thus far.
Jake, who did you want?
What?
So I would say Mike Elko from A&M would have been, if I could have picked anyone. He's a Jersey guy, so he's a Northeast guy. He's proven, with Duke that he could win, do more with less, kind of what they're saying about Matt Campbell. But now he has A&M better than they ever have been. A&M's always been a program that had a lot of resources, but just were pretty mediocre, quite honestly. And now they have a pretty good shot. And he's only, in year 2. So
A&M got huge money, bro. They got huge. College Station, there's a lot of money being pumped into that A&M program right now with NIL.
Yeah.
Man, oh my gosh. Yeah. So I think a lot of that has to do with the timing. Also, which brings me to my point, because you had James Franklin, right? Who came from Vanderbilt and then went to Penn State. And now you kind of have like a similar situation where you have a guy who the styles in the programs aren't the same, but to Dudek's point, Iowa State isn't even close to being a power, and he had them, in the top 10. That says something, and I've seen his philosophy, and I've listened to some of his speeches and stuff like that. Like I feel like the buy-in can be real. Once he gets in there and establishes the culture, I think that that the buy-in will be real. Here's the thing. Let's keep it real. I can't stand Penn State. I never have, never will. I'll never have, never will love them. Even though I love some of the players that come from there, I just can't do it.
I get it.
But I say that, but I'll also say college football needs Penn State to be a power again. So I'm actually rooting for Matt Campbell to succeed because I understand the landscape that is, college football, Big Ten football. There's only so many blue bloods out there, and Penn State has kind of fallen, somewhat, post Paterno. And it would be great to see them, rebound and maybe Matt Campbell will be the guy. Who's to say?
Yeah, I think the way I look at it is Penn State's a tier 2 program. And tier 1 is Georgia, Alabama. There's not too many of them. Penn State's lumped in probably like that, 5th through 15th kind of cycle. They win 10 games. They're pretty consistent.
Yeah.
But they're not on Ohio State's level. So can they get there? I don't know. I don't know if Matt Campbell is the guy that can get them there. My biggest concern is he's so used to dealing with 2- and 3-star players and developing them
Yeah.
Is he going to be able to recruit 4 and 5 star guys? Is he going to be able to manage the egos that come with that? Because a lot of his players were not highly recruited, so they love football. They have to work hard. But if you want to win, if you want to beat Ohio State, you need the talent, because there's only so much development that can come with that. So that's my biggest concern. I would have rather had Elko and someone else that was used to dealing with those higher level, more talented players. But, considering the circumstances, I think, Franklin's a good coach. Let me say, I mean, Penn State was 10-2 and winning 10 games every year. He was actually doing more with less, because a lot of people think Franklin was just this great recruiter. He really wasn't. He wasn't. Penn State's recruiting classes were like 13th to 15th, but yet he sent the 6th or 7th most players to the NFL in the last 5 years. So he was kind of doing more with less. There's a lot of similarities with Campbell, but I just think right now,
I'm laughing because you said that the recruiting classes are somewhere like the 13th through the 15th, and that's doing more with less. And I'm over here chuckling, as a Pitt fan. I'm like, what are you talking about doing more with less? You know what we would do to get a top 15 class every single year, bro? And you ever talk about more with less? Get the hell out of here, man.
That's
my gosh.
Yeah.
When but you're recruiting against Ohio State, who's getting the number 2, number 3. That's the bar. So,
and now you're even going against Oregon in some sense.
Oregon,
the Big Ten.
Indiana, like you got
Indiana.
So it's like Matt Campbell's not dealing with, I guess Texas Tech's good this year, but generally he didn't have to deal with the Ohio States.
What is his and you may or may not know this answer. What was his recruiting prowess locally at Iowa State? Do you have any idea? And the reason why I'm asking that is because, as you know, WPIL is a hotbed for college recruits, and it's just getting hotter as the years go by. You have the number 1 running back in 2027 right now, and come on, Spell. What number 1 number 1 receivers, and Khalil Taylor. Like, there's so many dudes in here that are really
they were both Penn State commits at one point.
Yeah, exactly. So my question is, do you know anything about his experience as far as being able to recruit locally against like the Iowas, I guess, of the world, and what that looks like?
Yeah, he's from Cleveland. He's from Massillon, Ohio. So he's familiar with Ohio, and he's recruited Ohio quite a bit.
He'll be all right.
Keeping Terry Smith.
Say less. I didn't know he's from Massillon. My bad. That changes everything. I'm dead, bro. I'm dead ass. Like, that changes everything for me. Like, Massillon is like football heaven, bro. I'm not even kidding you. Like, it is. The Massillon Tigers. I have a buddy who's a big time booster.
Okay.
My buddy Ben. But we talk about Massillon all the time, man. That is that's an outstanding high school pro, and has been for a very, very, very long time. I didn't realize that's where he was from. I did not know. That's the equivalent of being from Western Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I'm like, seriously, like, Massillon, Youngstown, like, that's all kind of the same type of makeup, if you will. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I didn't realize it. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize his gangster.
What Adam was like, are those good roots if Trubisky went there?
Well, he said, Campbell's a coach though. I don't know about Trubisky.
Yeah.
We had a dude that was a quarterback from Massillon that was with Slippery Rock. His name was The One. DAONE. The One Owens. Yes, that was his name. He's from The One. Yes.
I hope he was the first child. I hope he was the first child. Then
he was not the one at the game I saw. He was not the one. Nope, didn't work out.
So real quick, what did you think about Matt Campbell's press conference, Shank? I mean, I saw he was very emotional.
Yeah.
You know, he started off. It's like he couldn't start. Like, you know, he was already getting choked up. Obviously, it's for his gratitude for the opportunity to coach at Penn State.
Yeah.
I know he went through. It was a little. I ain't gonna lie, it was a little bit cringy. He's over there kissing the AD's dupa there for a little bit, you know. But I know he talked about watching Penn State with his dad. Talked about Blackledge. He talked about all that stuff. So obviously, he's very familiar with Penn State's tradition. But obviously, the first impressions always made by that initial press conference with a coach. You know, in the NFL, it's coach and players. All those initial press conferences. What was your take on how he handled that?
I didn't mind it. I'm not a big press conference guy, and like winning the press conference, it's hard to screw it up. But he covered his bases. He mentioned everyone he needed to mention, all the way, you know, back, like you said, Blackledge and Paterno, and he even mentioned Franklin, and went through all of his, you know, he checked all the boxes. So I think it's fine. His personality seems to be a little bit less. He's not real salesy. He doesn't have an agent, so he doesn't pitch himself, which I like. You know, he really is more about the team. So I don't think you're going to hear rumors about him like you would for the coaches that hire Jimmy Sexton and plant their names everywhere, like Franklin. But you know, he seemed okay. I'm just, you know what, to me, it's like, okay, let's see what he does to stabilize the coaching staff and to stabilize the roster.
Cool. Yeah, you know what, and stabilizing that coaching staff, I think, was big. GB already mentioned keeping Terry Smith, and I think it was really, really big.
Yeah.
And
big Terry Smith fan here.
Big Terry Smith fan. I'd like to see Whippeal guys coming in.
Yeah.
And I see we do have another guest coming on. He escaped the Christmas party, bro. So I just saw him go off camera. So maybe he has to step away for a minute. My man JJ Kitchen was here. He kind of now he's gone off backstage. So I'm going to bring him on because I know he knows a lot about Terry Smith. I want to get his opinion on. He also thinks very highly of Terry Smith and was kind of rooting for him to get the coaching job at Penn State to kind of give a Whippeal guy a chance as well.
Yeah.
But I want to read a couple stats about Matt Campbell. Oh, actually, you know what? Here he's coming back in. And let's go bring him on now and get his opinion there. Fresh off, he escaped the Christmas party, man. JJ, what's up, buddy?
And got the hell out of there.
Oh, dog. Work never ends, especially when it's even after hours. It never ends. But it was nice. We had enough fun the last couple of days. I needed to go home and talk some ball, man. That's kind of what it comes down to.
Absolutely. And JJ, because it's our buddy Shank up there. We were just talking about Matt Campbell with Penn State. And I want your opinion on something because we were talking about, you know, Campbell's with his coaching staff. And the one thing he did was sign and keep Terry Smith. I know, you know, we have spoken very highly of him. I mean, what do you think that is? Well, first off, what are your impressions of Matt Campbell at Penn State and then obviously keeping Terry Smith on as an assistant?
Well, I mean, one, keeping Terry Smith was huge. That was probably the biggest, you know, assistant coach he could have kept, to be quite honest with you, because of how well he recruits the Whippeal. He does a tremendous job. I mean, he's got plenty of people where he works with a number of different coaches throughout the Whippeal that brings a lot of good talent in there. So that was number one. He did great there. You know, and I think, too, Matt Campbell's actually a pretty damn good football coach. Now, is he better than James Franklin? I mean, we're going to find out. I don't know. I don't know if he can, you know, produce the results that James Franklin did. Can he be that guy that gets him to a national title? You know, Kalen DeBoer could have possibly been that guy. I mean, we saw how many names go through the system at Penn State. But, I mean, he's a great coach. I just don't know. And then the question that's really brought up is, can he recruit that high level of talent? You know, can he get the high level talent, the 4 stars and the 5 stars to go to Penn State like James Franklin did? You know, we're going to see. I mean, there's a lot of guys. I think he needs to build this roster how he wants to build it. You know, I'd like to see him go out and get a couple more big time names, especially assistant coaches. He's brought over a lot of his guys on his staff. I thought for sure he would have kept the Penn State offensive line coach. Ended up not keeping him. You know, again, he's picking his staff and his guys. But, there needs to be a reality check that, he's not in the Big 12 anymore. He's in the Big 10. So, I mean, we'll see what he does. But overall, keeping, Terry Smith, that was the best thing he could have done, because that is a guy that will recruit at a high level and elite level while he's there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I pulled up a few recent stats, and Jeff, I'll start with your opinions on this too. And again, I don't know how much Iowa State ball you've watched, and maybe you went back and looked at some Iowa State games now that he's Penn State's coach. But I mean, offensively, the last 3 years, averaging 365, 416, and 396 yards a game. That was 23, 24, and 25.
Mm-hmm.
What I noticed a lot in 2023, you got a 245 to 120 yards per game past the rush, 256 and 160, 221 and 175. He has a balanced attack. And we know Penn State can recruit some running backs.
Right.
Defensively, it's probably because they just didn't have the talent in the conference they were in. They were giving up right around 350, 355, 356, 363 yards per game. So that might be more of the conference as well, too.
Yeah.
Offensively, you're getting a very balanced coach, at least from his philosophy. That's got to make you feel good, considering I know Penn State hasn't had the wide receivers they'd like, but the tight ends obviously are always good. Running backs are always good. Talk about what you would expect him to bring from an offensive perspective, knowing what's at Penn State right now, what's coming in maybe through the portal now that some of the, we didn't know some of the recruits had left, and kind of decommitted. But obviously now that he's set, you'll probably get some guys coming back in. What would your expectations be offensively based on who's there now?
Well, you mentioned the receivers. So he did bring his wide receiver coach, Noah Pauly, who is a really strong recruiter, really good developer. We haven't had a good receivers coach in probably 6 years. And, being part of the balance, I would see Penn State really use the tight end. Clearly, with the lineage that they have there with tight ends, I would see that drop off a bit. But expect the receivers, especially in the portal this year, to really step up and become more of a focus on the offense. The quarterbacks are not normally as mobile as what Franklin would typically like. I think that was part of his problem is, he had Drew Aller in a running quarterback offense. You know what I mean? Like, you can't put Big Ben in Lamar Jackson's offense and expect success. But he would always do the square peg round hole. So with Campbell, it's usually more of a pocket passer. That's what I would expect, more of a pro style type offense.
Yeah.
But he's developed more receivers than Penn State in the last 5 years, even with, lack of NIL and recruiting.
Man, receivers. Woo-wee. Was it Jalen
Higgins?
Jaden Higgins. Jalen Noel.
Yeah,
man.
He's developed some good. He's developed some good ballers out
Brock
there.
Purdy.
Yeah, Brock Purdy. Yeah, who was? I think he was probably a mid 3-star. I think. Defensively is my concern, because they ran a 3-3-5. You're not going to run that in the Big Ten with success. He has you do that because you don't have the talent. Like, his nose tackle was, I think, 320 pounds, which, you'll have some success, but there's too much.
But do you really think that, let me ask you, do you really think that he would bring that to Big Ten? Like, I think he's a pretty intelligent guy. I don't think he would come in and say, well, I'm gonna put this 3-3-5 in here, even though this is a power run conference. I'm gonna go. I don't think he's gonna do that. I think he'll bring somebody in that'll be more of the mold, if you will.
Well, that the rumor is that they're looking at Danton Lynn, he's an ex-Penn State player. He's at USC right now, and he was at UCLA prior to that. Mm-hmm. And he runs a 4-3. So it does make sense what you're saying. Their defensive coordinator is supposed to be on the staff, but not necessarily as a coordinator, just more of a defensive assistant, John Heacock. So I hope you're right. But if you look at Penn State this year with Jim Knowles, who came from Ohio State, but he was at Oklahoma State. He was a Big 12 guy. And when he was given the keys to the car, Ohio State didn't give him all, the entire control. Penn State did, and you saw what happened. So that's my concern.
What happened? Refresh my memory. I don't remember.
Yeah.
He's good. He's good.
You know what?
So
Once Terry Smith got control, they started to make some better changes as opposed to put in a walk-on court or walk-on linebacker in the middle of that defense and thinking that they were going to be able to stop the run with him. But
yeah,
we're talking about Matt Campbell, aren't we?
you say he was like that. From moving on to Matt Campbell. So last thing I want to talk with Penn State on this, and I want to hit on Pitt a little bit when we have JJ, and then I have the college football brackets here. I like for the four of us to kind of go through and see what we think about this starting this week. Actually, starting tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
What are you hearing about opt-outs, opt-ins for Penn State for the Pinstripe Bowl against Clemson? You know, I think Terry Smith is going to be the coach of the bowl game for Penn State.
Yeah.
What do you expect what do you expect from that bowl game? And is there any major opt-outs? Yeah, I got one, GB. It already came up. Were you expecting any major opt-outs for Penn State against Clemson?
Right, you know what? Right now, there's a lot less than I expected. I'm sure there'll be a couple more, but it's generally, you know, like Nick Singleton, the running backs. As far as the quarterbacks, they're playing. Most of the linemen so far are playing. Zachy Wheatley's a safety. He's going to be probably a third-round pick. He's not playing. But there's only been 4 announced. So considering the circumstances with the coaching change and everything, that's pretty good. Clemson's had a lot more. Yeah. So
I'm sure their quarterback's opting out and some other things too. So, but it's kind of like what these bowl games are anymore. So so we'll see. Let's see. Adam's had a little comment here about Penn State didn't have that elite edge rusher to correct games from previously.
Well, Denai Dennis Sutton is, and he still might be a first-round pick, but he did not have the production this year without Abdul Carter. No doubt about it. He still got pressures, but he did go, I think it was 4 games without a sack. So, you know, it's a good point. They didn't get the pressure. A lot of it was the defensive scheme and the difference between, say, Manny Diaz a couple of years ago and Jim Knowles this year. But if they can keep the talent, they still have it. But
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was just a tough all-around year. That's why what happened at Penn State is a poster child of why you don't really get rid of coaches in the middle of a season. It's not good for anyone at any level, high school, college, or the pros, because it just creates chaos and unneeded chaos for the season. They should have, wrote out one more year and see what they wanted to do, and is what it is. But here we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they should have had a plan. Obviously, they didn't have a plan.
Exactly.
If
I tell you what,
you probably want to have a plan in October.
I will tell you this before we get into some Pitt, man. Penn State did one favor for everybody. They got a lot of coaches paid. I think they used that some contract negotiations there.
Virginia Tech is very pleased with Penn State's decision.
Yeah,
I think they're very pleased right now.
They'll build a statue at 9-3.
Bro, they're recruiting's through the roof right now too. It's unreal.
You know what? And speaking of recruiting, Adam's got another question here, and I think this is a perfect bridge to bring in some Pitt talk with JJ. And I want to get his thoughts on what Pitt opt-outs and what they're looking at for the bowl game against ECU. Is JJ? Do you think that Pitt has a chance with Coleman from Penn State in the transfer portal?
I mean, as of right now, no, I really don't. I think he's already made up his mind where he's going. He's probably going to Columbus and Ohio State from there's a couple personal connections he has up there. I mean, usually when they go in the portal, they've already had their deal done. I mean, it's you really got to get involved with these kids when it's the last 2 weeks of the season and you start really talking numbers from behind closed doors. And I've seen it personally. They know exactly where they're going. It's not that long of a process. They may not announce it for 4 or 5 days, but they know exactly where they're going. And I'm pretty sure he's going to Ohio State. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't blame him going to a program like that. So, so with Pitt playing ECU here in the bowl, oddly enough, a lot of opt-outs for ECU. A lot of drop. Their quarterback's gone. I think one of their tight ends are gone. And everybody's hitting the portal, and I believe their quarterback even turned down a reported $1.4 million from ECU, which is, listen, you got to give ECU credit for being able to pony up that amount of money. for a quarterback. And I think I watched an early game, and I definitely went back and was watching some highlights to help kind of get familiar with ECU ahead of the bowl game. But what are you hearing from Pitt side as far as any significant opt-outs? Probably, I would assume both linebackers are opting out for the NFL or others as well. But I know Mason, I think, posted something on Twitter that he's playing, which is a big thing for Pitt. What's the Pitt roster look like going into the bowl game?
I mean, it's pretty put together at this point. I think one, because the Pitt did a good job with their contracts in terms of revenue share. Hey, if you're a starter or anybody that's getting paid, if you want to get those last bit of paychecks, you got to play through the bowl game. And I think that was a really good thing they did. Okay. Obviously, we've seen their long snapper go in the portal. We've seen Zion Fowler-L, which, I mean, it makes sense. I think the Jackson Brown news will drop. Offensive lineman, legacy name. Me personally, I'm just very disappointed. I'm very disappointed in Pitt. I'm very disappointed in Pat Narduzzi, how he handled that situation. There's things that you need to do better, and there's obviously a number of things that Narduzzi needs to do better. Pitt's done a lot of good things this year, but there's a number of things that Pat needs to get better at, and we're going into the 12th year with him. So he has a lot of stuff to work on personally, but the roster's pretty much kept together at that point. Kyle Lewis will not play in this game. He's getting ready to go to the NFL. He looks to be a day 1 or day 2 pick. Mel Kiper had him as an early day 2 pick between the second round, more than likely the early second round to the middle second round. So we'll see where he goes. More than likely plays safety in the NFL. I think he fits a lot more packages there. It's a strong safety, being able to play down in the box especially to a run heavy defense. Anybody that's physical, he looks to be that type. And
I know a team that could use him, JJ.
Oh yeah, I know a team too, but they'll bitch and complain that it'll probably be Kyle's fault that the defense failed next year. Not Tomlin or the O-line or the defense. He'll
be one messing up the field.
It's the field's fault. You know what I mean? It's the Steelers are mediocre for the last 8 years for a reason, I guess. I don't know.
It's the field.
Yeah. But overall, the team looks to be kept together. It's just the bowl games this time of year, man. It's hard to really judge what team you're going to get out there, especially from an opponent standpoint. To your point about ECU, they had a damn good quarterback. Caton Hauser, I mean, the kid is at least, if not the second or the third best quarterback in the transfer portal right now. They lost him. They lost their one of their starting wide receivers. I believe his name was Yannick, if I'm not mistaken. I think I had his name down here. Yeah, Yannick Smith. Anthony Smith's still going to play. London Montgomery's still there at the running back position, but they've had a number of guys opt out. They've lost their tight end. They've lost both coordinators. John David Baker's headed to Ole Miss. Aldridge, their defensive coordinator, is already headed to USF. It's a part of that stuff, man. It's a crazy battle right now in college football.
A ton of names hitting the portal. A lot of quarterbacks too. So you kind of expect that nowadays. It's kind of like the new age of college football, and is what it is, right? But yeah, I honestly I like it and I don't like it. I just think that they definitely got to work on the actual calendar to kind of get this stuff taken care of. There's a way to make it work after the playoffs or after the season, after these bowl games. Yeah. At the same time, some of these lesser bowl games, you use it as a way to get your young kids to play.
Yeah.
Right. I think in Penn State's case, there are going to be a lot of guys that want to stay, that want to prove it, and they're going to want to play. And I think if you do well in the bowl game, I think it gives you the opportunity in spring practice, as spring practice gives you the opportunity in camp. You know what I mean? Then the players just got to continue it, and we'll see where they're at next year.
Yeah, it's an audition too, regardless of who you're playing for next year. You get to put it on tape.
Yeah, and to your point, you also have early. You have kids who just graduated high school right now too, who are also opting in to get into spring early. So they're competing against a whole different. You know what I mean? In addition to the transfer portal, those guys are also competing with the crop of high school kids who are also coming in early nowadays. Tyke Hayes just did that last year.
Yeah,
he was just a prime example of that. And there's a guy from Moon Township, last name Taylor, who's going to Kent State, did the exact same thing. Just graduated. He's going to be at Kent State in spring ball come January. Davion Taylor, that's his name.
Yep, and I got Adam back in as well too. Yeah, the NIL didn't rule us unable to transfer a limited amount of times. It ruined it. I agree because there's the running gag with NIL just stands for now it's legal. They've been doing that for a long time, and the fact that they can go in 1 year, out another year. There's that one guy. I think I was posting for all you guys. I think there's this quarterback that's transferring, and he's going to be on his 7th team.
Yeah, that should be illegal.
Yeah. I think it should be. I'm really to the point like you're going to have to get to the NFL model where these kids are going to have to sign contracts and they're going to have to stay for this amount of time to get their money.
I think that there'll be some reform coming.
Yeah,
within
there's
the next
supposed
5
to be
years.
something voted pretty soon. I want to say that there's not going to be red shirts. Is that they'll have 5 years, period. Everyone will have 5 years, and that's it.
Yeah,
there should be a commitment clause, though. I feel, at least like 2 years, and then you only get like one transfer at the most. You know what I mean? Something like that, just so it could, for stability purposes too. I mean, I couldn't imagine being a college football coach, right? I mean, you get paid a ton, and you get fired, and you get paid a ton, but there has to be a ton of stress that comes with that because you don't know who's coming and who's going.
Right.
It's always a revolving door. So, I understand why Nick Saban left. Like, it totally makes sense.
He was like, I'm tired of this shit.
I'm too old for this shit.
It was finally even. It was a level playing field for him. So he, didn't have the advantage anymore.
Did you see there was that one College Game Day where I think, what's his name? The comedian guy that said that to him. Oh my God.
Shane Gillis. Shane Gillis
said that to him. He goes, yeah, something about. And Saban got that look on his face like, you son of a bitch.
Oh, yeah. He wanted to kill him.
Like, now that everybody can pay their players, not just in Alabama or in LSU.
Gillis would say, too, man. No doubt, man. Oh, my gosh.
Exactly. 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 So, yeah. Adam agrees with you, Shank. Yeah, he left because everybody do it. You're right. Absolutely. 100%. Listen, there's probably a lot of other shenanigans that was going on, so we'll have to wait. JJ's going to hop back in. He was having some technical difficulties, as you saw. He was kind of froze. A bunch of internet bills just screwing around here. So when he gets back in, I want to go ahead and hop into this college football thing. Let's spend the last half of this hangout here talking about the college football playoffs. I want to get him in here because I do have a board up here that we can walk through a la March Madness and make our selections. We can kind of come to an agreement on who we want to see, and obviously we can all offer our own opinion. So, but while we wait for JJ to hop back in here, I'll start with you, GB. Who is your dark horse in this college football playoffs? And here, let me go ahead and pull it up right now. Let me see if I can pull this here. So if we can zoom out, like here's the brackets. Let me get over here.
Yeah.
So you have who do you think is your dark horse?
Yeah, actually it's a matchup.
Of course,
I think Oregon is going to beat James Madison by 40. Okay, but this Oregon Texas Tech matchup is very, very, very. That game I feel is going to set up one of the teams in the national championship. Like that is the dark horse matchup between Texas Tech and Oregon. I feel like that's where there's going to be some there's going to be a little surprise.
So
Indiana ain't it.
Yeah, so you're thinking either Oregon, Texas Tech can make some noise and
yes,
get to the
I think that's where
game.
you're going to see the dark horse. That's where things are going to get a little blurry.
So obviously one of them's upsetting Indiana. Then that's interesting.
That's my point, right?
Yep. I mean, listen, that would be the upset, number one team in the country. Jeff, what about you? A dark horse team?
Yeah, I was going to go with Texas Tech. I think that would A&M even count as a dark horse team? I guess they're a 7 seed, so potentially because A&M didn't play Georgia, Alabama. Right? They didn't play any of those teams.
No, They actually had a quite of a softer SEC schedule.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they should be fresh. I do like Texas Tech. I mean, playing in the Big 12 is a different, I guess, level relative to the others, but they pretty much just went through their season and just, I mean, they're dominant. So
Yeah.
I don't think Oregon, to me, I don't see them as being able to make a run. I don't know. They've struggled in too many games. I don't think they have what it takes.
Spoken like a true Penn State fan.
That's right.
Yeah,
Should have beat them in the first place.
yeah, that was they were coming. That was a good game regardless. But anyway, all right. Yeah, I'm with you, GB, on the Oregon Texas Tech one. I just think Texas Tech would be the one that could make a run, but that Big Ten championship game was the first time I actually got to I really watched Indiana from bell to bell.
Yeah.
I watched the second half of the Penn State game this year. I watched snippets of games throughout the year of Indiana. And this was the first time I got to watch them, and I did not know their defense was that good.
Their defense is very good.
I did not realize how good
Yes.
Indiana's defense is. Mendoza is the only first-round quarterback talent that I've seen in this year. A lot of guys are going back into college as well. This supposedly legendary quarterback class got weak real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick. Uh-oh. DB, someone saying going with Texas Tech winning the Natty.
Hey, that's what he told me.
That's what he just said.
Right next to me. He said,
yes, he
winning
is.
the Natty. He heard me say Texas Tech. He's like, yeah, let's go.
Someone else is stirring some thoughts up here.
Nice.
Yeah. So I do like Texas Tech. Again, I realize they're known for their Red Raider offense, if you will. But their defense is what really shined. Obviously, when they dominated BYU twice, those were the only two full games I watched. Texas Tech were the games against BYU, and they fully dominated them. So we will see. So yeah, see, hold on, I'm getting a little message here. So yeah, JJ said he'll be back in 2 minutes. Yeah, kind of reboot everything. So I will wait to get started with the bracket selections when he comes back in. So one topic until he gets back in, I'd love to hear from everybody in the chat as well. Do you think any of these Cinderellas are going to make any noise at all? Tulane and JMU?
No,
there's 0%.
0.0, right?
There's a better chance. There's a better chance that the Chiefs will win the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, well, then it's less than 0 since they're eliminated from the playoffs.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't already like Tulane and Ole Miss was already 45-10 this year.
Yeah.
And JMU. Now, see, here's my thing is this is where like the NCAA they just got to refigure this out, and they're going to make changes next year, right? The fact that the ACC has archaic tiebreaker rules that allowed Duke in over Miami in the ACC championship game and all this other garbage is now going to force either getting rid of the participation trophy with these little schools, or they're going to go to 16 games next year.
Yeah,
I think they're just going to go right to 16.
That's the probability. Yeah. And Notre Dame's is guaranteed to get in if they're ranked 12th or higher starting next year.
Yeah, I saw that. That's like some elitist attitude shit. Right? It doesn't make sense, bro.
Yeah, it's nuts.
But I will say this, though. You take out Tulane and put Notre Dame. You take out James Madison and put in BYU or Texas. It's a completely different playoff bracket and a little bit more excitement than anything.
Yeah.
Right? So, in all honesty, I understand why Bama got in. But if Notre Dame had a gripe, they should have got in over Alabama. But there's no way they're going to do it to Alabama twice. And again, they did not want to. The fact that they were bitching and moaning about losing conference championship games is why they put Bama in, but yet nobody was worrying about BYU.
Right.
It just shows that SEC bias as well, too. So
I hope Oklahoma beats Alabama by 50.
If they can figure out their offense, I think Adam was saying that as well, too. If Oklahoma can figure out their offense, because they're one of those ones that Oklahoma could also be a dark horse because if they get their offense going, because their defense is legit.
Their defense is legit too. Yeah.
I don't see their offense getting it, but you're right. You're right. They could.
And it went downhill after Mateer got hurt because Mateer's a really good dual threat quarterback, but he just has too many brain farts. What I've seen, or I don't know, because Bama can also wake up because Bama has talent.
Yeah,
but
their coach has one foot out the door apparently.
Yeah, there's so many rumors he's going like to all these other different places.
Michigan, yeah.
Oh yeah, Michigan, exactly. Who knows what that's going to happen, but
yeah.
All right, so let me ask you this: so we wait because I doubt that there's going to be much of an issue. Are we going to say Oregon's over James Madison?
Yep.
Just depends on how much.
Yeah, I think it's a 21.5 point spread.
Yeah.
And then let's just go down here. Any chance? No, I mean, I guess if there's ever a chance because of the turmoil that's going on with Tulane, with the coaching and things like that, but just the talent gap is too much. They already beat them by 35 points this year.
Yeah.
And GB, and Jeff, you probably know too, is like when you have that much turmoil with the coaches, there's that rally, or the world's against us, rally around. I think Ole Miss, and they got so much talent. They probably got the second best running back in the game behind Jeremiah.
Oh yeah, Lacey's a monster, bro.
He's a monster. Individual running back. So I think Ole Miss does take him pretty easily. All right. So that leaves us with, we're going to go back up here. Let's start down here. Texas Tech and Miami.
Gotta go Texas.
And anybody that's in the
right?
chat, please. Yeah, and anybody to chat, weigh in with your thoughts on these games as we go through these. Who you think's going to win? Is it going to be close? Things of that nature. Go ahead, Jeff. You were saying.
I mean A&M because it's home, but I think it'll be close. I think if it was at Miami, I would probably take Miami because I do think Miami's solid.
Yeah.
A&M did have a soft schedule, but they're as fundamentally sound as they've been, which isn't saying much, but they can beat you in a couple of different ways. So I'll take A&M.
Okay.
I'm going to actually say Miami, and it's their defense. That Reuben Bain is a game changer, and we were speaking on Texas A&M having a soft schedule. I could see because Miami's physical, like they will hit you, they get physical, so I could see Miami pulling that one out. I don't care what my son's saying right next to me. I don't give a damn. Meanwhile, he's listening to the broadcast. There's like a 30-second delay, and I can hear it in the background. I'm cracking up. Because first I'm like, wait a minute. What is – I'm like, I hear Dudek. Why I hear Dudek back here? He's in there listening.
I have a feeling he's going to go against every one of your picks.
Hey, he picked Texas Tech, though.
Yeah. I tell you what, I hear you, GB, and if it was a neutral game, I probably would go with Miami. What scares me with Miami is Carson Beck playing at Texas A&M. He has a tendency.
Yeah, he's a turnover machine, right?
Exactly, he's a turnover machine, and he can play like a top 5 pick, like what he thought what we thought he was last year at Georgia, right?
That don't mean he will.
It does not mean he will. No, but if I'm going, I trust A&M's quarterback at home over what I trust Carson Beck on the road. Therefore, I'm going to pick Texas A&M just because it's at home. But GB makes really good points of why Miami could win because I think defensively they're legit. So for the sake of our bracket, we have 2 versus 1, so that means A&M is moving forward. But again, GB makes a lot of good points on this. What do we think about Oklahoma?
Is there only one game tomorrow?
I think it's one tomorrow, one Saturday. Yeah.
There's actually 3 on Saturday.
Yeah, 3 on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I stand corrected.
The part that was weird to me. I'm like, I had to look. I was looking at it like I had to do like a double take. Like, is that really how it's set up? Like, yeah, 1 and 3.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Yeah, so this is tomorrow night's game, which is Alabama versus Oklahoma, which is a rematch. Oklahoma won by a few points, I think, this year.
Mm-hmm.
This has got 17-13 written all over it type of game. Shank, your thoughts?
Well, I don't think Bama hasn't really played very well in the last stretch, right? And they've struggled against teams, and I know Auburn's. I get it with rivalries and everything, but Auburn wasn't very good. If you're a college football playoff team, you need to boat race them. And Oklahoma's defense is just too good. I don't think Alabama's is well coached. Going back to the earlier point about who would I have wanted as Penn State's coach, DeBoer wasn't on that list. Okay. I just don't think they're this year or last year. They're not the Bama of old. So. Going Oklahoma.
Good Oklahoma. Okay. And I think, GB, what's your thoughts?
Oklahoma, man. I don't even think Alabama should have been here to begin with. Like, I would have absolutely been okay with Notre Dame being here over Alabama. I would have totally been all right with that. Like, I'm not a fan of Alabama. No, at all. Not this year, at least.
Yeah. It is a the spread's only 1.5 in favor of Oklahoma, so it's essentially a pick'em game.
Yeah.
So you guys both said Oklahoma?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go Oklahoma just for that too, because it really wouldn't matter what I said anyway, because for the sake of this here, because even if I picked Alabama, what scares me, and it scares me in a sense because I don't like Alabama. Could they make a run where they figure it out and play Bama foot? Because there was that run in the middle of the year where they played like 4 ranked teams and they won them all. Granted, it was in conference and they're familiar with them. If they turn that on, it can be pretty scary. They still got a pretty dynamic receiver in Williams. Samson, whatever their quarterback's name is, he's pretty accurate. Yep. He can get streaky, but
say Simpson.
Samson. Number 5, I'm just gonna call him 15. Yeah! 15. So okay. So we'll start at the bottom here now and kind of go way up here. So now we're gonna leave us with Texas A&M and Ohio State. GB, you can go first, even though you picked Miami. But let's say it ends up being Texas A&M and Ohio State. Can A&M go in and beat Ohio State?
Ohio State. I got Ohio State winning the whole thing. So.
Oh, well then we're gonna go Ohio State. Okay.
Like I've been saying it. I've been saying this since the beginning of the year. So I'm not going to change my opinion on that now. Yeah.
All right. Being consistent. Shank, if this were to happen, who do you think wins?
I agree with Ohio State. I think they needed the loss to Indiana to really kind of bring them down to earth a little bit. Their defense is just too strong.
Yes.
Right. How many touchdowns have they given up in a half? I mean, it's 2 all year in one game.
I think the most points they've given up are 16 in a game.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Defense is outstanding.
Yeah. So the only way that Ohio State will lose is if they have a weak point, it's their running game. So if they can if A&M can completely shut them down and force them into throwing, then maybe, but I don't know. I just don't see it. Even if they have to win 13-10, they're not missing a 29-yard field goal again.
No. I think anyway, Ohio State. There's 2 ways that Ohio State loses this game. They beat themselves, turnovers, and if Texas A&M's quarterback plays like the game of his life, because he's a fantastic athlete and he can throw the ball as well too.
Yeah,
he would have to play the game of his life. But when you have 4 or 5 first-round picks on that defense right now at Ohio State, they're going to be hard to beat.
Yeah,
and I'm a huge fan of Julian Sayin, dude. Like, I think he's absolutely he's one that I have my eye on Julian Sayin in 27. Like, that's how much I admire his game, and I'm trying to figure out, is it because of the talent that he's throwing to, or is it because it's him? I'm still trying to figure that part out. He is throwing to some dogs, man.
Well, exactly. I mean, he's got the best player in college football. He's throwing to the best player in college football.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's my question about this. You know, when we evaluate some of these quarterbacks, it's just a really quick thing here before we move on to Georgia Ole Miss. Is when you evaluate a quarterback, like saying who's thrown to these, you know, the Cornell Tate and the Smith and all these guys, wouldn't that be what you'd want to see him because that's what he's going to be throwing to in the NFL?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I guess it depends, right? Compared to he's thrown to the receivers against teams that don't have the corners to cover him, whereas the NFL, the window's smaller, right? So what I would like to see where he struggled against Indiana was Indiana put pressure on him that he's never felt.
Yeah, they did, especially up the middle.
Right. So I want to see him with guys in his face make those throws.
Mm-hmm.
But he's fairly young, right? I mean, obviously
he's a freshman.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a freshman. So I think he's a redshirt freshman. Yeah, he's still young.
Yeah,
so you're right. You're
freshman.
right.
Yeah.
So Georgia versus Ole Miss. I think Georgia is turning it up at the right time right now.
Yeah, I agree.
They're not as dynamic on offense as they used to be. Those, I think his name is Sutton or 14, whatever he is. He can ball. He's like a scrappy type of quarterback. And just like with Georgia, it's their defense. Their defense is absolute legit.
Yeah.
I think they would actually handle Ole Miss, I don't say pretty easily, because I still think if they could win by 14 or 17 points, even in a pull away to fourth quarter. But I'm going to go Georgia on this one.
I 1,000% agree. I think they will beat them by at least 21. In kind of a snooze game, you know, especially on New Year's Day after you ate a whole bunch of
especially if it's in the Sugar Bowl
and pork, you know what I mean? Then you fall asleep and your game's watching you instead of you watching it. You know what I'm talking about. I know I ain't the only one, like 8 o'clock on New Year's Day. Like the game's watching you at that point. Especially if it's one of them snooze games, man. It's terrible.
Jeff, any chance for Ole Miss?
I would love for the fact that they pretty much get galvanized and want to just prove Lane Kiffin was just, you know, have that type of revenge to make a run without him. That would be a great story.
Yeah.
Right? Like even if they got to the national championship without him, then all of a sudden you start to give LSU like buyer's remorse, right? Like was it really him? Because that would be a great story. I don't think it's going to happen, but
man, I would agree. Did you guys see those T-shirts that Tulane made? It's like it's Tulane versus no lane.
No, that's great.
Damn.
That's like the ultimate like troll. I mean, granted, they're still going to get their ass whipped, but that's like the ultimate troll T-shirt with Tulane versus no lane. I love it.
They're like, we may lose the game, but we're going to win the game of talking shit. That's
we're going to win the petty war is what we're going to do.
We're going to win petty wars on the socials.
So and by the way, I just got a text from JJ. His shit keeps freezing. I don't know if we're going to get this man back. So we're just going to keep going.
All right.
Elsa got his ass.
Let it go. Let it go. Indiana versus Oklahoma. This is again the thing for me. If Oklahoma's offense figures it out, now if you remember last year, I got the two of those were because they were smaller schools in Boise State and Arizona State, but the teams that had buys last year all lost, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Penn State handled Boise State. Texas beat Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ohio State beat somebody.
Ohio State beat Tennessee.
Well, they beat Tennessee at home. That was the home
they
game.
smashed Oregon. Oh, you mean this round? They smashed Oregon.
They went and beat the crap out of Oregon.
Beat the shit out of Oregon.
They beat the shit out of them. Yeah. So, anyway, maybe it's like one of those bye week things here and there because Oklahoma's defense again is legit, but I just think it'll just like you see against Ohio State. Indiana just had with Mendoza and this playmakers. They could just make a couple plays in this game, and I think it's enough to beat Oklahoma. Anybody disagree?
No, I'm going to say Mendoza magic prevails in this game, and he gets some late game heroics. Yeah. It'll be a close one. I think this one will actually probably be the game of the day. Surprisingly, it'll be a game of the day, and I'm going to say Indiana, with a winning touchdown at the end of the game to beat Oklahoma.
I would agree. Shank, any other thoughts of this, or are you going with Indiana as well?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Indiana. I don't think the Indiana's going to need any of those, catches pulled out of their ass like they've had, and a lot of the balls bouncing the right way like they did against Ohio State. I think that they might need it for the next game, but they're not going to need it for this one.
Okay. All right, GB, this was your game here. You're just talking about whoever comes out of this could be making a run with Oregon, Texas Tech. No, I think this matchup would be one hell of a game. Because Texas Tech can score, but man, here's what's odd about this. We're in the era of like all this offense. All the rules favor the offense. But there's a lot of really good defenses in this college football playoff.
Yes.
There's a lot of really good defenses.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon's might be one of the weakest, and they're a pretty good defense.
Yes.
GB, your thoughts on this? On Texas Tech versus Oregon?
I am very much a Daniel Lanning fan. Like, I think he's absolutely an amazing coach. I think he's created an outstanding culture in Oregon, and kind of keeps the party going, if you will. Because that program's been humming for quite some time now, and he continues to keep that thing going. And even with like less talent, he was rolling with Dylan Gabriel last year, and they still, they still were the 1 seed. You know what I mean? So he's done. You talk about doing more with less. Good Lord. But I say all that to say though, I feel like Texas Tech is just one of those teams that's hot, and I feel like they can really. I think they can turn it up on Oregon and score some points. And I don't know if Oregon can keep up with Texas Tech. I'm going to say Texas Tech wins that one, and it's going to be it'll be a 70 points total.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some 75 somewhere around there.
Yeah, and I think Adam agrees with you too, and I would definitely listen to the argument, right?
Yeah.
If he is not the best, he is one of the best. So
he is very good.
I would definitely concur with that statement. So, Jeff, what about you, bud? What do you think? Texas Tech, Oregon?
I'm not sure if Oregon's OC took the Kentucky job, right? I believe he's going to coach, but to me,
there he is.
He's probably distracted. Yeah. So
he made it.
Tech. I think Texas Tech their defense gets a lot of turnovers in this game.
Yeah. Hey, JJ, did you actually go to Radio Shack and fix your shit?
You know what? Just bought this damn thing, and guess what? Yeah, now it's actually finally starting to actually work. It couldn't sense it for whatever reason. I don't know what the hell was going on.
That's odd. Hey, so let's get you caught up real quick on this, Jeff. So you're going Texas Tech?
Yeah, I'll go Texas Tech. Yep.
Okay. So JJ, if you look at our picks so far. We have Oregon beating JMU. I don't think there's no surprise there. We're both in on Oklahoma over Alabama.
Mm-hmm. I got the same thing.
We're obviously Ole Miss over Tulane, and GB picked Miami, but Jeff and I picked Texas A&M, so that's why they advanced. Do you see, real quick to get you caught up, do you see this game, how you see Miami, Texas A&M, for maybe like a quick 20-second snippet?
I got Miami winning that football game. I think when you watch enough, just look at the schedule with Texas A&M, especially just how they played against a Texas team where I think Arch Manning has a lot of stuff to prove yet. There was a discussion of was he going to the NFL? No one's picking him if he goes to the NFL. So there's a lot of things you look at breakdown Texas A&M schedule. You could probably say it's been pretty weak this year. I think Miami has a number of good wins on their schedule. Number one being the head-to-head matchup between Notre Dame early on in the season. They do have a number of ranked wins. I think that with the level of talent they have on defense too, and watching their defensive line, I don't know. I got Miami in that game.
Okay. And I can see that too. My thing was if it was a neutral site game, I'd probably go with Miami as well. But the fact that it's in A&M, and I don't trust Beck. I trust him to give it up a little bit, if you will. So, and then we had Ohio State versus A&M. It was a landslide. Everybody picked Ohio State over A&M. Only way I say that A&M wins is if they beat themselves, or A&M's quarterback has the game of his life, type deal. But I do think Ohio State's too damn strong. We thought Georgia would be too much for Ole Miss, so we got Ohio State, Georgia here. And then we both think Indiana over Oklahoma. which I think is, I think it's a pretty easy pick, at least. That would be a major upset if that happened. And Jeff, as well as GB, has Texas Tech beating Oregon. What are your thoughts on this to get you caught up?
I got Dan Lanning and Oregon winning that game. I think if you look at the schedule and then obviously seeing the amount of talent that Oregon has, but just the level of experience, I think that Dan Lanning learned from last year. The guy obviously went through a bunch of shit last year with him losing to Ohio State. If anything, probably got a bad draw, with the way the college ball playoff went with last year. I think Oregon's got more talent. I think they're better coached. I don't know. I would really have Oregon in that football game. I think Oregon's a damn good team. So
it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Oregon beat Texas Tech. Let me make that abundantly clear. I gave Dan Lanning right before you got on there. I gave Dan Lanning his flowers. I think he's one of the greatest head coaches in NCAA, if not the best head coach. And I love the culture he's created up there and what have you. I just feel like Texas Tech has a hot hand right now. I just feel like there's just something about that team, man. They're athletic, they're fast. They got some stuff. I feel like they got something to prove to you. Big 12 be getting shit on all the time, man. I feel like they got something. They got something to prove, man. Man, y'all ain't gonna be talking about us like that no more. You know what I mean? So yeah. I feel like they may come with a little bit more, I could be totally wrong too. Don't get it twisted, but I do think that Texas Tech is going to.
Yes,
we picked them as a dark horse.
Yeah, I picked them as a dark horse. So just by process of elimination, I'm on Tech as well. JJ's points were well brought, and I would not. It would not surprise me if Oregon wins, as GB would say, because I do think it's a quality opponent. But I mean, JG, remember when you're at the house, the first Texas Tech BYU game? They dominated them, and I watched that championship game, and they dominated BYU again. I mean, and I understand BYU is not the best team in the country, but just the way that defense plays is something else. For the sake of this exercise, we're going to go with Texas Tech, but again, I would not be surprised if Oregon wins. So we're going to go with Texas Tech over that. Jeff, if Texas Tech were to play Indiana, who do you think takes this?
I have to say Indiana at this point, just based on, how they come through in the clutch.
Yeah.
And they're just more battle tested. So, just based on that, although Texas Tech's my dark horse, so they can absolutely pull it off. And Texas Tech, I want to say their rosters, their NIL, the highest in CFB. I want to say it's like 35 million or something like that.
It don't surprise me.
Wouldn't surprise me.
With the oil money.
All that oil money down there, bro. It's crazy.
JJ, okay, go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
No. I would have to say it's in a pick'em Indiana.
Okay. JJ, I know this wasn't your pick with Texas Tech and stuff too, but if this matchup were to happen, Texas Tech versus Indiana, who do you think comes out?
I think it'd be a good matchup if it does happen, but I got the Hoosiers. I think almost call him Frank Signetti. That they wouldn't have a chance winning that football game if Frank was coaching. Kurt Signetti, he's a winner. Mike Shanahan does a really good job running his offense, and I think Mike does a great job of adding in his increments to that offense and what really makes that offense go and being creative, going multiple on a number of different levels, especially when they're in the shotgun. If they're under center, it doesn't bother them. I think he does a good job overall. And I think that the way that their defense is built, especially up front, look at the defensive line for Indiana, I like it a lot. And I think when you watch that game, the most recent game, Indiana versus Ohio State, it shows you up front that they're not scared. They're not scared, that they're going to be physical. And I think that team is well coached, especially with the fundamentals and their techniques and how they attack offensive lines and defensive lines. I think Mendoza can really be up for another big Heisman moment in a game like that, whether it's Texas Tech or Oregon.
GB.
So, I would be rooting for Indiana in this game, without a doubt. I think that Indiana, I think their story is absolutely incredible. Signetti taking, one of the, you talk about one of the worst football programs of all time the Indiana Hoosiers, y'all. We talking about Iowa State, and Matt Campbell and James Franklin with Vanderbilt. Look what Cignetti has done with freaking Indiana, bro.
And how quickly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole – dude, that is an unbelievable job that he's done.
Playoffs 2 straight years. First 2 years.
100%.
I think they have the most losses in college football, I want to say.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
More than
It brought up some stat against Ohio State. Yeah, I think you're right, Jeff. I think you're right.
Yeah. I think it's them. It's them, Iowa State, and I think Rutgers is next. I think those are the 3 bottom dwellers.
Yes. But because I said earlier that Texas Tech would be my dark horse and the winner of Texas Tech and Oregon would be the team that goes to the national championship, I'm going to stick with my guns, even though I'll be rooting for Indiana. If it actually happens, I'll be rooting for Indiana. But just for exercise purposes, I'm going to go with Texas Tech in the national championship.
Texas Tech is my dark horse. I just don't like them. I look at matchups. They both have good defenses. I think Indiana's a better defense, but they're both really good. So then you look at the offense. Indiana's offense is more consistent, and they have Mendoza. What does that mean? He just needs to make a play or two, and which would give Indiana the toss-up. I actually would probably think the winner of this game, if this game were to happen, Texas Tech versus Indiana, is who I would be pulling for the Natty.
Yeah.
What's weird? And JJ, if you remember this too, it's hard to believe that this is the same quarterback that Pitt beat the hell out of last year when he played for Cal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coaching matters.
It does. Coaching matters in that sense. So, but I've seen, and this guy is clutch. He throws a good deep ball. It's kind of a half backpedal of Texas Tech, my dark horse, because I just think Indiana's going to win.
I want to see them actually win the whole thing, even though I said Ohio State's going to win the whole thing.
Yeah,
I really want to see
I am going to go
Indiana.
Indiana with this because I just think they are one of the 2 best teams. Because, like I said at the beginning of the show, I did not know that Indiana's defense was that good for how they played against Ohio State.
Yeah, the D-line, you're right. Like JJ made a good point. The D-line against Ohio State, the way that they dominated them, it was – I wasn't shocked, but a little surprised, right?
Exactly. And you know what? And JJ hit the nail on the head about the coaching at Indiana. That coach, he's just a winner. He just knows it's almost like he has answers to the test, like Belichick's video cameras or something. But he just knows what to do with this, and I have so much respect for Indiana
it
now.
Must be NIL. I don't want to get off topic, but he's 64 years old. Like, where has he been? Like, how did this? Was he? That's a late bloomer if I've ever heard of one, right? Like, it's a great story because of it, right? He's not like 35 years old, right? He's paid his.
There's a lot of Shank, there's a lot of great coaches out here that don't have jobs. I'm just going to give it 100. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of dudes out here who can absolutely coach that just never had the opportunity to make it happen. And there's some dudes that's out here that have jobs, and I'm like, trying to figure out how you finagled this one.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. All right. Georgia, Ohio State. I think all of us agree. We may have disagreed on some of the games leading up to, but I think we all probably agree that this is going to end up being the game. Yeah. Ohio State versus Georgia. This would be very intriguing because I think these 2 teams are very similar outside of number 4 for Ohio State. I think Stockton, I think is his last name, the quarterback for Georgia, and Sayin are roughly the same quarterback. Sayin's a little bit more athletic. They both have number 1 picks galore all over the damn defense. Shank, you first shot at this. What do you think, Georgia versus Ohio State?
I'll give Ohio State the edge. I think Georgia, I do think that their defense is solid, but they can be scored on. And Ohio State, I don't think they're going to be shut down to 10 points again. I think if they scored say 24-27, they'll win. Probably 27-13, 27-14, something like that.
Yeah. JJ, what about you? I think I was talking earlier. I believe Ohio State, the most points they've given up this year, and I could be wrong. Somebody can definitely fact check me if they want, but I think the most points they've given up this year is 16. Their defense is amazing.
They're good, but I can tell you this right now: I'm not good against the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm not doing it. I think that Bo. I think when you look at Ohio State, when they faced Indiana, okay, Bo Jackson had 17 carries for 83 yards, which was pretty damn good overall. 83 yards in that game. Indiana rushed for 118 yards in that game. Okay, it was a 13-10 ball game. The Georgia Bulldogs held the Alabama Crimson Tide, and I think that again, Ohio State's a lot better than Alabama, but they went in the SEC championship game. They only allowed -3 rushing yards. I think that front again. I look at the front when I look at teams. I think a lot of these teams, if not all of these teams, have great talent on the outside. They got a number of guys that can play quarterback. I'm looking at the front, and I'm looking at each one of these offensive lines and defensive lines, and I got concerned a little bit with Ohio State's front. You know, I really think they have a great defensive front, but when you watch these offenses and how Georgia was able to move the football on a number of teams this year, and especially towards the end of the season, I think it's going to be a lot closer than what people think. But I've got Georgia in this game. I think that their defensive line is going to get nasty in this game, and I think it's going to be a lot different than what normally you would see out of a Georgia team. You know, whether it's the middle of the season, early on in the season, you've seen Georgia really turn it on towards the end of the year, and that SEC championship game really showed me something.
Okay, I agree. GB, are you? Is this Ohio State for you? You said they're your national champion. Are you going to Ohio State, or do you have any different thoughts?
No, sticking with my guns to the Ohio State beginning of the season.
Sticking with my guns.
I'm gonna stay with Ohio State for and you know what the funny thing is, I'm not really an Ohio State fan either. Like I could really give two shits about them, to be quite honest with you. But I just really, really, really love what they do defensively as a whole. Like I think that is going to make the difference in these games. That defense is a defense that can take over and dominate games, and that's the thing. I think that's what you're going to see with these dudes. I mean, how many first round picks they got on that defense right now?
So I mean that's probably going to be that's an NFL game right there, Georgia and Ohio State.
Yeah,
that's an NFL game by itself right there.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say this. I am leaning with JJ with Georgia for two reasons. One of them is I want Georgia to win. I'm tired of Ohio State. I agree. I can't get past, and JJ brought up the point. I can't get past that they held Alabama to -3 yards rushing. And yes, Smith is the best receiver in college football, probably the best overall player.
Mm-hmm.
Julian Sayin is a baller. I think him facing Georgia's defense versus Georgia's quarterback facing Ohio State's defense, that experience matters in this game. I'm giving a slight edge to Georgia. Although, just like we would not be shocked if Oregon beat Texas Tech, I would obviously not be shocked if Ohio State beats Georgia. So for the sake of this argument, since we are 2-2, I need 3 people from the chat real quick to pick this game. So we can decide who moves on. Does Georgia or Ohio State move on? I need to see the first 3 picks come in the chat real quick to help us break this tie to see who advances in our bracket here to play Indiana.
JMU.
JMU.
Let's go.
Good answer, brother. Good answer. Okay, we got 1 for Georgia. Of course, that's Braylon. You know, Gabe picked. It's 2. All right,
2
Adam,
Georgias. 2 Georgias in there.
So yeah, Braylon and Adam picked Georgia. So that is a Georgia moving on versus Ohio State. So yeah, I said the first 3. The fact that the 2 of them are Georgia, that means they're going to move on. and Evan actually did pick Ohio State,
Mhm.
which would have been the first three, which still would have been 2-1. So again, we would not be surprised at all if Ohio State wins, but for the sake of this exercise, the tiebreaker was Georgia. So that puts Indiana, but by the way, this would be a hell of a
That'd be a
matchup.
really, really good game. Yeah.
Really good matchup. So Indiana versus Georgia. GB, I'm gonna let you go first since your national pick is not here for the sake for the sake of this exercise. Who would you take Indiana versus Georgia?
I would take Indiana. Mendoza Magic would be real. I could see him finishing finishing an outstanding college career and then becoming the one of the top 5 picks in the draft. Perhaps the Pittsburgh Steelers. You never know. We'll see how that play out.
Did you guys hear that like the Jets were smitten with Pavia?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Let him.
Let him. Knuckleheads. All right, GB. So you're saying Indiana? Sorry, you said as soon as you said Jets or I'm like I just remember hearing the Jets were smitten with Pavia. Of course, that could be Pavia's agent saying that too on Twitter too. So
I mean, I think Pavia just he just took himself out of any type of day one or even day two with that bullshit.
Right.
But Indiana for the dub.
All right, JJ, you were pretty bullish on Georgia. I agreed with a lot of your points. Does Indiana have enough in the tank to beat a big SEC power?
When the clock strikes midnight and it turns to 12:01, it's when all of us go out for fun. And the Fighting Kurt Signettis drop their nuts and they win their first national title. That's what we're going to talk about here. All right. Indiana Hoosiers win their first national title. The entire school of Indiana burns down, even the stadium. They rebuild the stadium the next year, and then they go to the national title again. No, I got Indiana winning it, man. I just think that Kurt Signetti, man, it's just the guy's a different dude. You look at the road we talked about earlier, the road of Kurt Signetti. He was an assistant. He was an offensive assistant, making $30,000 a year at Alabama under Nick Saban, and no one was going to give him a shot to be a head football coach, and he wanted to be a head football coach, not an OC again. So he went to IUP, Division II. Went to Division II, IUP, 2-hour drive here from Pittsburgh. I mean, not far. Worked there. Was there for, 3 or 4 years. Then takes a job at Elon. He's there for 2 years. Dominates at Elon. Then he goes to JMU for 4 years. Dominates at JMU, and then now he's here at Indiana. I mean, the guy's a proven winner, and I think that he'll have his team ready. It's just different. I think it's different when you have a head football coach who just walks out there with confidence. I think, again, Kirby Smart's one of the best head football coaches in college football. But I think when your team is there and they have that edge of, there's just nothing to lose, I really do think Indiana just has the culture and really just together has the guys to pull it off. I really do. And, again, look at their front. Look at their two fronts. They can block. They can run the football. They give Mendoza enough time. And I think that'll be really a damn good football game. I don't think it'll be high scoring, but I still think Indiana would win that football game.
All righty. Shank.
Those are all good points. I would root for Indiana. I just think that their time runs out. I think Georgia I would pick Georgia or Ohio State against Indiana in this game. I just think that they do have their cracks. They have pulled a lot of catches out of their ass in certain games. They would not. It's just not sustainable, right? But hey, they made it this far. I just think against Georgia or Ohio State, nobody's missing a 29-yard field goal. No one's toe tapping with their toenail in the end zone. It's just they've done a lot. They've had a lot go their way to get to this point. So I will root for them, but I would have to pick Georgia in a close one.
Hey, Jeff's just not going to let that go. It was the play of the year against his squad.
Just the fact that Ohio State doesn't miss 50-yard field goals very often, let alone 29. And
I get it, brother. You know what? Sometimes, I think even in the NFL, when you win a championship, sometimes weird shit like that goes your way.
Oh, you have to, right?
Right.
Like when James Harrison runs, an interception back 100 yards, right? Like you have to.
and GB and I were talking about earlier when we were at the game, the Polamalu, the big picture I have in my basement, Polamalu's interception with his fingernails, right?
Right.
Some other things happened. Indiana is one of those things where, again, the catch at the end of the Penn State game against a team for this year, they should have beat by 2 scores, but they didn't. Penn State gave them one hell of a football game, and it took a play like that to beat them. It took a Heisman moment drive for Mendoza and a catch like that to beat Penn State. They went in. It took a missed 29-yard field goal that you were saying for them to beat Ohio State to get in. Again, it wouldn't matter if they were the 1 or 2 seed in this, right?
Right.
I mean, they would have eventually got to the same spot, maybe.
Yeah.
Is it fate? Is it just like the mental toughness of a football team that can win in these close situations? Again, this is like a broken record. I would not be surprised if Georgia would beat them.
I mean, it could be a coin flip because just how well they're both playing on the offensive line and defensive line. It really could.
Again, both defenses are good. The offensive lines are good. Backs are good. Receivers are Georgia probably has the advantage in receivers, but Indiana has advantage of in the quarterback. So I'm going to take Indiana based off process of elimination based on a total team. I would also root for Indiana over Georgia in this one. So I am also going to pick Indiana. I hate when we pick chalk, although sometimes in football that does happen. Truly the best team wins, right?
Right.
I would say that Indiana would be our champion. And because we picked them, they're going to lose to Oklahoma or Alabama in the first round.
Right in that bye.
The second round, right after that bye.
Right.
I do agree. Indiana cuts down the nets. Oh, I'm sorry. This isn't basketball. They actually
cuts down the nets.
That's what you said when you think about Indiana, man. You think about basketball and all this stuff, right? I mean, and I would like to see a program like Indiana that hasn't done well in football cut down the nets. Hoist the trophy, win a championship. And honestly, let's be real. It's not an SEC championship, which would even further infuriate your boy Tannenbaum or whatever his name is with the bald guy, Feinbaum. But yeah, I think Indiana. Does anybody have any final thoughts as we wrap up this discussion?
I think that when you look at the first round, I think Ole Miss is on upset watch. I know they played early on this year, but Lane Kiffin was there. I don't know how this team's been responding. Who's going to call plays? What does that look like? And I understand that what's his face came back.
Charlie Weiss Jr.
Yeah, Charlie Weiss will be back. That's a different level of guy, calling the offense. I mean, Lane Kiffin is by far one of the best offensive play callers in the college football.
Yes. How
well and how motivated, but more importantly, how focused is this football team? And then John Summerall still at Tulane. I don't know, man. I just for all the marbles, just to really put a twist in it. I don't know. I am very interested in that game.
That's a different because it was 45-10 the first meeting, but you're right. But there was a different dynamic with Ole Miss. It's like they're either gonna shit the bed and an upset could happen, or they're gonna rally the troops and it's gonna be a similar result.
Yeah, and all this time off too. It's all this time off in between where you've had just weeks to prepare for this game, but also it's just the Lane Kiffin factor is something that people don't know enough about. Is that the guy game plans for certain games the way that he does it, and he calls games better than anybody else. That's why Saban brought him on board. And that's why they were so successful when he was there. That's a game that if Lane Kiffin was there, I would say easily it's going to be, again, a 45-10, 45-0 game. But I just think with him not calling the plays, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, very, very well. Very well. Oh, I can't wait. Listen, it starts tomorrow. It's great.
It's the best time of the year. I think one thing about the playoffs now is really turning into what we thought it would be, which is right. Like there's 4 or 5 teams that could win it. I think
there is.
Yeah,
there truly is. There truly is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Indiana, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas Tech, Oregon. I mean, that might be the top 5.
Yeah.
Even Oklahoma or Alabama, if they get on a run, can win. You know what I mean? And it is something that it's very intriguing. A&M Miami, maybe not, but we'll see. I mean, yeah, it's what we want to see. Selling on the field, not in the computers, not in the polls. And that's why I think they did make the absolute right decision of putting Miami in over Notre Dame, because head-to-head should matter tenfold over any other strength of schedule, FPIs, or whatever you want to talk about it. You're on the field, you win.
To your point, too, I will say this, and this is an ESPN thing. This is not college football fans thing. This is not college football teams. This is not head football coaches. But in reality, BYU got bumped for losing in their conference title game. Notre Dame should be in over Alabama. That's not even a debate. I mean, they ESPN pulled the strings of what they needed to do to make sure Alabama got in there to where they weren't left out again. But, it's Alabama. I just – again, I don't feel bad for Notre Dame. I'm not, and the way they've acted since then is only going to hurt them even more when people start really, blocking them out and not scheduling them. That's on them at this point. But at the end of the day, what's right is right. Notre Dame should be in over Alabama. Notre Dame is a much better football team on offense and defense than Alabama.
Yeah, you know what? I want to close this on this topic, JJ, because we talked about this on your show on Sunday, and I love to get Jeff and GB's thoughts on this. Jeff, you start on this one. Notre Dame pulling out of all the bowl games, basically taking their ball and going home and pouting.
Yeah. To me, you know what? Here's what I'll say about it is that I believe it was the AD's decision. I don't believe it was the players' decision. And what they did was, and Eric, as well as anyone, a lot of those kids aren't going to the NFL. A lot of those kids, this would have been the last time they got to put on the pads. Football's not like basketball where after your career you can go play rec. Like you're not putting the pads back on.
Yeah.
So he took that away from them. And I don't believe for a minute that if they would have voted as a team, that they would have voted to not play. So I think it's purely on the athletic director. I can't even imagine Marcus Freeman would have agreed to it either. So
no.
He ain't cut from that cloth, bro.
And before GB gets in here, you're right, because I think as a player, what you would have done, whoever Notre Dame would have played, I would have wanted to make it 85-3.
Right, like Georgia did.
That's what I would have wanted to have done. Yeah.
Right. Remember Georgia against Florida State a couple years ago?
Absolutely.
Well, obviously. Sorry, I didn't mean that.
No, it's fine. But you know what? And they did. But Georgia took it out on the Knowles, who had all these opt-outs as well, which is another issue. But yeah, Georgia wanted to make a damn statement, and they sure as hell did against Florida State, 100%.
Yeah.
GB, your thoughts?
Good. I forgot we was talking about that quick, dude.
But Notre Dame pulling up. Notre Dame pulling out of all the bowl games.
Damn, what were we talking about?
Jeez,
you got about something completely different. You know what? Because I'm looking at recipes. Don't if you see me looking,
I'm looking at recipes. I'm looking at recipes. We have Martha Stewart on here.
No, it's for like
Emerald Fugazi over here, bro. We're talking football, bro.
Yeah, briskets and prime rib and
cook me one.
Sam, I am.
No doubt.
Cook me one.
No. As far as Notre Dame, that's where I was going to go with this. So here's the interesting part. We saw this on such a smaller scale, just in the WPIL this past year with Fox Chapel, right? The bullshit that went on with the AD who made a decision that the coaches and the parents and the players like, what the hell they do that for, right?
Yeah.
I have a feeling that if you polled, the kids in Notre Dame, every single player and everything, if you polled them, I guarantee you that it would have been very similar, where that was an AD decision with no input whatsoever. Here's the thing, guys. We all know we play ball, right? We're not built that way to say no. We're not built to say no. We don't. We don't want to compete. Nah, no. Let's take the pads and go home. Let's just go home and enjoy our Christmas. And that's not, in 19, 20, 21 years old, bro, and you still got an opportunity to do that, you will take it every single time. So that's how I feel about it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about it. If you're a guy, if you're a kid, which I think Jeff was getting at, if you're a kid on Notre Dame's roster and you never played, or you got very limited playing time, and you're a senior just because, listen, you're good enough to make a D1 squad, but you weren't special enough to be a starter or contributor. This would have been your time to put those pads on one more time. You know what? Some kids may have gotten their first start because of opt-outs and everything like that. So, yeah, you can't tell me these kids agreed and said no. You know what? I'm going to never play more than 10 plays in a game for my Notre Dame career just so kids 3 years from now get a fair treatment in a bowl game. No.
Right.
No. They're going to want to go out there and play. And I guarantee if I was on Notre Dame's team, I don't care if I'd have played Southwest Missouri State Tech of New Hampshire. I'd have played somebody.
Correct.
Right? So, yeah, this was definitely one of them sneaky-ass AD things, and I just think it's bad.
You know who would have played, Eric? You want to know who would have played?
I'd have played.
Rudy. He would have fucking played.
Rudy's in a transfer portal, bro.
He's in a transfer portal. He's in a portal.
He's like, fuck this shit. I'm in the portal, man. I'm headed to Cal U. I'm going to Cal,
I'm heading to Cal U.
Exactly.
I ain't built for this. I ain't built for this D1. I'm gonna go to Cal.
Man. It's almost like that. It's an extension of that participation trophy thing. If you don't get your way, you're just gonna whine instead of just suck it up and play and go play, represent your school one final time, and go play.
The way they double down on it is still. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, it reminds me, Florida State could have done the same exact thing. And I know they had all the opt-outs and everything, but it's funny to me how Florida State gets left out because, Jordan Travis he couldn't play because he was hurt, even though Florida State had like the 3rd or 4th ranked defense in the country, but they're left out. But then Alabama right now is on the potential verge to not have their starting quarterback with Ty Simpson. And they're in. And there was no discussion about it. So, it's just, there's what's one thing that kills me, and I understand people are saying about the bowl games and whatnot. We've talked about it, Eric, before. The bowl games are great because when you get to find out, okay, what the hell do I have going into next year? Yeah. What do I have with the young guys? Where's our holes at? Where can I plug and where can I really plug and play that next year? Where can I attack in the portal? And also 15 practices to develop your young guys, And at the end of the day, too, we don't run from competition. We don't run from people. And I thought Notre Dame was above that. I thought Notre Dame was one of those institutions. Hey, we'll play anybody on grass, turf, sea. It don't matter. Concrete. It don't matter. But I mean, the way they double down and then blame the ACC when they're not a football member of the ACC is absolutely astonishing to me. I mean, just pure stupidity. And again, I understand their ADs from originally from NBC. Just very disappointed. Would have never thought. And what kills me is like, Notre Dame, well, I'm going to take my ball and go home. Well, until last year, I mean, since like 1985, they had lost every single, they were either 0-25 or 2-25 in their last 27 major bowl games. It's not like they go on a tear and win every bowl game. They're not known for that. I mean, they notoriously are known to go into big games and lose them. Look at the national championship game with Alabama, where they got absolutely blown out, where Manti Te'o was talking to his Mystique girlfriend who never even existed. I mean, it just like the stuff just never ends. Like Notre Dame is supposed to be prideful to where they play these games. That's a Notre Dame that I especially grew up on, especially too like when you watch guys like Jeff Samardzija, Brady Quinn, all those guys that were there in the day. I mean, you can ask those guys today.
Golden Tate.
Yeah, Golden Tate. I mean, they would have played. I mean, there's just a lot of less pride in where you are, and we're getting very transactional in college football, which is disturbing because these contracts are for 1 year. We're trying to be like the NFL, but we're not the NFL. We'll never be the NFL. We'll never match the NFL on anything. And the days of these kids, you got 1% going the NFL. What happened to the rest of these other kids supposed to get college degrees and like we always say, fired up the LinkedIn account. I mean, I just a lot of these kids are really missing what the purpose of where they're going to and really avoiding adversity and running away from this stuff. You can't run away from adversity your entire life. Like The one kid, TJ Finley, he's transferred from Georgia State. He's going on his 7th school in 7 years. Son, I'm sorry to break this to you. Mom and dad don't want to tell you, but I will. You suck. You can't play in the Power Four. Son, stay at Georgia Southern, at Georgia State Baptist University, at the local high school. I don't care where you go, brother. Just finish your 1 year there and get your degree. I mean, Jesus Christ, it doesn't matter where you go. You're not going to play. It just absolutely kills me. Kills me at this point.
And last thing about this, too, is I think by opting out of the bowl games, especially for the teams up north, like Notre Dame or anybody else, but a lot of times these bowls are like in warm weather cities. It's like kind of you're robbing your fans and kind of like getting away and kind of, rewarding them with a final game and make a reason to go on like a small vacation. Now, I understand there's some fans who say, to hell with it. I'm not going to spend a dime on my team after they've gone 7-5 or 8-4 or 6-6 or something like that. And there's like, there's a bestbuy.com empty box bowl or whatever the hell it is, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes some people like to get away and do that. Exactly. I mean, sometimes fans want to go do that. I mean, so you're kind of doing a disservice to the fans as well, too. So, and at least there is a small pot of money to win a bowl game, too, to put back into your school.
Yeah.
Well, the conference gets that money, right? Generally, and Notre Dame gets to basically take all of it, right?
Yeah,
so there's another reason.
Well, that's a good point, Jeff. That's a good point. Yeah.
It's even more to play the game. Yeah, it's like
it is what it is, man. But hey, listen, gentlemen, I appreciate you guys hanging out. Right, hour and 40. So, but I knew that it would take a little while going through that bracket. There's a lot of good dialogue for that bracket. Jeff, appreciate you coming by. GB as always. Yeah. JJ, I'm glad you got through your technical difficulties.
Yep, had a horrible time on here.
But hey, before we get off of here, Jeff, if you want to take a minute or so, tell them everybody where they can find you, and how's the supplement business coming on? Is that off the ground yet?
It's getting there. I just have to get a couple of more terms and conditions settled. But
okay.
So I'm Jeff Shansky on Instagram, and I will be launching a supplement website, genxhealthproducts.com. So specifically for the old guys, you can relate, right? That's right. You still need to take your creatine before the gym, right?
Yeah.
So we'll have to talk about that. But yeah, that's where you can find me. Check it out.
Jeez. Yeah, as we hit near the big 5-0 soon, so I definitely gotta get some old man supplements, brother. GB, where can I find you, sir?
I ain't there yet.
Mr. Burke.
I still got 2 years. I just started
rounding up. You gotta round up.
4.8. No, we're gonna stay in these 40s as long as we can.
Where you at, Mr.
Your
Bud
_boy_GB on the Instagrams and
yes,
also on Twitters, and you can find me on @uppity_Yenzers as well on all the socials. Tune in. Whole lot of good stuff going on.
Yes, sir. JJ, where can people find you, sir?
So obviously, I'm 31 and just built for fun. That's what it is at this point. So it's okay.
Built for fun.
So T-shirt.
Yep. Just 225 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal. Not complaining or nothing.
There we go.
But at the end of the day, you can find me Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen on YouTube. Obviously, it's always good to get Eric on there. Obviously, everyone loves Eric's breakdowns on the show. Hopefully, we'll get something there on this Sunday. I know Eric, myself, and Harry will be together this weekend, talk a little bit more about stuff that's coming up. Pretty exciting stuff for in person. I know GB, everybody will be there. But you can find me on there, and then obviously on X at JJ_Kitchen40. And if you haven't done so, if you're in the comments section, don't be a hoe, share the show. Remember that. All right. And subscribe to the show tonight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate everybody. As always, like we say every time, appreciate everybody in the comments, hanging out with us. What's nice about this, about everybody here, what I like to see, no matter what level we get to in the show, I don't see it dip. So I like to think that we're doing something right. Everyone's enjoying our conversations, which is just like hanging out with us at a bar, hanging out with us here in the man cave. We always appreciate everybody stopping by. Appreciate every comment. We have Follow the Bird Cave on the Twitters. and follow the channel, share the channel, subscribe to the channel, comment on the channel, help this channel grow. And like JJ said, we got some really cool things coming up in January for some in-person meet and greets, if you will. So those details will come out right after the holidays, and make some plans for, remember, 1/17/26. You're not going to want to miss it. So we will see everybody on the next one. Take care. Appreciate you, everybody.
Hail to Pitt.
Deuces!